I think what we're expecting to see over the next few months is an increase specifically around the amount of OTT platforms launching in the space. And so that's something that we've had our eye on for quite some time. Beyond that, I think what we're looking to see is more of a shift in terms of the ability to activate programmatically in a lot of these environments. You probably saw some announcements over the last few weeks with different companies in the space enabling their inventory to be transacted in a way that is data-driven. And that's something that we're definitely keeping a close eye on. So I think as we get to the new fronts and into the upfronts, we're going to hear a lot more about data, a lot more about technology, and certainly it's an area that our clients are asking us to look at, and something that we feel that we are leading the way in bringing these opportunities to them.
So how do you see planning different for OTT versus linear in kind of broad strokes?
Sure. I think historically, those were kind of two distinct and separate areas. But in some of the investments that we've made as an organization, specifically around our Omni platform, the intention there is to bring all of that together, is to make sure that we are thinking about video agnostically across platform, across screen, across all environments. And so, what we're really looking to do is bring all that together. And while the landscape may be disparate and fragmented from a consumer perspective, we are ensuring that we're bringing all that together for our clients from a planning perspective, from an activation perspective, and ultimately from a measurement perspective.
In terms of the success of OTT and investments that you're positive about, what do the platforms need to have in terms of data and technology to make it work?
Well, I think the first place it has to start is the scale and the reach that we expect to make an investment in a platform, an OTT platform. And by and large, we're seeing a tremendous amount of growth in that area. The plumbing and the framework behind it related to technology and data, a lot of that is being built in, and it's being built from a digital lens. So in some ways, it really is this great complement of high quality TV-like content with the ability to transact against that programmatic and data-driven, and it's only going to get better.
And let me ask you about the role of the consumer and ad load, frequency caps. We hear a lot about that. What are some issues that you hear from consumers through your own, through your channels, and the expectations of your clients, and how is that all sorting out?
Well, I think from a consumer perspective, a lot of viewers flocked to OTT very early on from the fact that it gave them a lot of choice, being able to watch what you wanted to watch whenever you wanted to watch it. We all know that. I think beyond that, it was probably a slower place for advertisers to start to market their products and services. And now that reach has hit critical mass, we see a lot of advertising in the space. I think what we're going to have to keep a close eye on is how do we ensure that the ad load is a fair value exchange for a consumer. And you're starting to see a lot of the TV networks experiment with different ad loads. And that's certainly a place that we have to keep an eye on with OTT. As more and more viewers go to OTT, how do you make sure that we're not overloading them with the amount of ads they see? So I think that's probably the first area. From a frequency perspective, if you've been on any of these OTT platforms over the last year or 24 months, you've probably seen a lot of the same ads repeating and repeating. Moving towards an automated approach in buying OTT and connecting with consumers in that environment is going to be the way in which you solve for frequency. And again, that's an area that we are very closely looking at. It's an area that we believe has a tremendous impact on the consumer, because if you're reaching the right consumer, that's great, but if you're bombarding them with advertising, as we know, it's probably not a great consumer experience. And so that's something that we're keeping a very close eye on.
And what about performance? What are the expectations of your clients? And is TV a performance medium more now, perhaps, than it had been, or how is that sort of the expectations around performance changing?
Sure. I think that every type of medium has a performance metric associated with it. Some of them may be more softer metrics. Some of them may be hard metrics like a purchase or a sign-up of a specific product. But by and large, the belief is that everything should have performance against it, and the ability to use data-driven targeting and measurement will only further us in our hopes to really get to a place where everything can be measured and performed and focused truly on outcomes.
Cool. And finally, what do you sort of see the future of TV? I mean, the opportunities for your brands. What do you hope you can provide them over the next year or so? How does sort of the future look?
I think the future is extremely bright. I think, again, it's really this great blend of being able to take the best of digital and this premium content that exists in the TV space and merging it together. I think from an innovation perspective, we're going to see a variety of advancements. Specifically on the OTT side, you're seeing, server-side ad insertion, which I think will provide a better consumer experience. So when you're watching a piece of content and it goes to a commercial break, you don't lose any ad quality. It doesn't lag. The latency that exists today will go away. That will be a place of innovation. And I think ad format experimentation is definitely an interesting place. We're seeing things like ads that pop up when you pause something on OTT and what that might look like. We're seeing the ability to really integrate interactive, shoppable ad experiences into that environment. And a lot of it is connected to these big data sets that exist with the companies that run these OTT platforms. And so I think the future is bright. I think it's exciting, and it's certainly something that we're going to keep looking at and bring the best opportunities forward to our clients.
And finally, there's so much content. It's the golden age of TV, some say. Unprecedented amount of opportunities. How do you sort through all of that on the buy side?
You're absolutely right. There's quite a bit out there for us to look at. And I think we would be maybe a bit foolish to think that we could do it with pen and paper. And that's why our investment in the Omni platform and being able to find an audience, plan against that audience, against all of these different OTT environments and across all of video, and being able to transact against those different environments and reach consumers in a meaningful way, that really is the promise of where we're going. So yes, fragmentation has certainly made it more difficult, but through technology and a lot of investment on our side, that's an area that we believe we've solved for clients and a place that we're pushing forward in.